Welcome to The Night Temple, a podcast about art, memory, and inspiration.
Hi, welcome to this special digital panel for the Music and Visual Media Conference 2026. We're super excited to be here with Tomas Videla.
Welcome. Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
So we're really excited about this project. And so we can just jump right into it. You're doing the score for House of the Spirits. This is based off of a novel by Isabel Allende. And you're just discovering now that I'm Chilean. I'm half Chilean. I'm half Chilean, half Italian. But my family did move there in the late 70s. So
Wow.
yeah.
What a time.
Yeah. And they moved to Australia. I mean, they kind of got out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but before they did, they went to Argentina, and I hear that's where you're from, right? So you're from Argentina?
Yeah. Born and raised. Yeah.
Born and raised. Cool.
In Buenos Aires. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, this has got to be a project that is rooted in a lot of South American history.
Yeah. I mean, it's such a well-known novel.
Yeah.
That it resonates with pretty much all of South America, really, and a lot of Spain too, of course. But yeah, it's such a big novel, and this doesn't make me look great, but I didn't know how big of an impact that novel was until I started working on the show, and then the show came out, and seeing everyone, I was like, wow, this has a huge following. And I also doesn't make me look great, but before working on the show, I haven't read the novel. So I knew the story because, it's one of those stories that everyone knows in South America. It's just so well known. I knew the story, but for some reason in school, we never read it.
Mm-hmm.
We read a different book by her.
Which one did you read?
La Ciudad de las Bestias.
Uh-huh.
City of Beasts, I think you would translate it to.
Yeah. Just curious, because I also love, Eva Luna.
Oh, yeah, of course. But yeah, we just never, I don't know why. It was just like one of those things that my year we didn't have the House of the Spirits. But I knew the story because my mom read it, and so I've heard of it. But when I got the call to work on the show, I was like, oh, should I read the novel? But the turnaround was so quick that I just didn't have time. And after I was done, I got to hang out with the showrunners, with Francisca Alegría and Fernando Rejola, who were amazing. Who were the ones who adapted the novel. We did an amazing job. We were talking about that, and I kind of came clean. I was like, I never read the book until after I finished. I'm so sorry. But we were talking about how, like, actually I preferred it because then I could really immerse myself in what they created,
Right.
And not really worry too much about, like, oh, they, this character or that character, or they changed this or they changed that.
Yeah.
And I could just really be with them. And, I really trusted them that if they gave any sort of note, they know that novel inside out. So, I knew that whatever comment they were giving me, it wasn't just a music comment like, we don't like this or we don't like that. It was more of like, the novel says this, so we want to convey this emotion, or we want to do this or that. So, yeah, so it was a really, really fun process.
I mean, it's interesting that you say that, because I feel like in the DNA of the music, like in the DNA, it feels South American. Like you can listen to it and you can feel the very specific energy of the region, like the feeling of horses or, planes,
Yeah.
And it feels so resonant in a classical way. But there is, like, it's like with the flutes and stuff, it's like there is a hint of the land. Are they indigenous instruments in there as well?
Yeah, we used a lot of quenas and quenachos
I can tell,
the pan flutes, but we
Yeah.
also, of course, we leaned into guitars, charangos, and
Yeah.
roncocos, and We also bombo legüero, and
Yeah.
we also used a friend of mine, my friend Alan Dauria, who's a percussion player who played bombo and drums. And when I first called him, we were talking about like what instruments do you have, because we're in LA and he's in LA, so like, what can we get?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, I have a bombo legüero, and he was like, I also have a jawbone of a donkey, I think it is, that if you hit it, it gets like it's like,
Oh,
yeah.
it's also an instrument that is widely used in South America.
Yeah.
So I was like, great, bring everything. Let's just have fun. Let's see what happens. So we really leaned into that in terms of instrumentation, really try to get as much of the, authenticity of the South American
Yeah.
instrument
Of the
playing,
land. Yeah.
but also try to get, we had orchestra, we had strings, we have like a 40 strings playing. So
Yeah.
my question to myself when writing was, well, how can we also get that South Americanness from the strings, from the orchestra? So it was a lot of leaning into the dances like chacareras and sambas, that I know from growing up in Argentina and listening to folk music.
Yeah.
So it was keeping those same rhythms in the orchestra.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, I'm Argentinian, so I can't help myself but bring some tango into it.
Yeah.
So we brought some of that, and even some of the techniques like chicharras and tambor that you can do, or strapatas that you can do in the strings. They're really cool. So we really tried to bring all
Yeah.
those sounds just merged together into this kind of cinematic world. And one of the things we talked early on with Amazon and the showrunners and Film Nation was we wanted this to be big and cinematic,
Yeah.
because if you watch it, I mean, they're going to all these places, all these fields, and the house,
Yeah.
all that is real. Like that's actually, if you go to Chile, you can see all those, the desert, everything. They were there, so
Yeah.
and they have this beautiful shot. So everything is big and
Goosebumps thinking
cinematic.
about it. Yeah.
And so, we really wanted to keep that, but also how can we make it authentic to
Yeah.
the region, not just generic cinematic music. So it was an interesting merging of two worlds, of like the epicness, cinematic film score sound
Yeah.
with South American folk. And
Sorry, yeah.
Well, I was just going to say, like, there's the way that it's kind of composed and mixed is also like um, lots of the percussion and the guitar and stuff is really like upfront and intimate, while you've got this like really kind of huge, lush orchestral thing happening in the background. And
Yeah.
so it's like intimate. Yeah, it's kind of like layers, different worlds that kind of exist and different scales
Yeah.
in the music.
And we could also go very intimate and small with just the guitars if we needed to.
Yeah.
And not feel like it's weird, and then go big and epic, when we need to.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely like dying to ask you about this. My family, my brother is an incredible Gena player and charango player as well. And so I know a little bit about the history just from him of the region in terms of the political nature of the folk music at that time. It was huge. I mean, one of the most popular charango players got his hand cut off, and a lot of the folk music was used for protest against against the I guess the coup, and so I was just fascinated with how this got incorporated, and was there any because I'm absolutely horrified and haunted by the stories of what happened to the folk musicians of the time.
Yeah.
And then, oh my God, so much of the nueva musica, like the genre that evolved out of there, which was a combination of modern and folk music that also became protest music with Mercedes
Sosa
as well.
Yeah.
I mean, and that music, and she's Argentinian too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and that so there's a really, for anybody watching this or listening, like the music it meant more than just music. It was the soul, the vibrancy, the protest, the existence, the soul, really like the soul. How did you approach that in terms of the modern instruments and the indigenous instruments, and just the influence that happened in music at that time?
Ooh, that's a great question. Um, you definitely feel that weight on your shoulders, I think. Especially the more you get into like the last bit of the story, where all this is happening. So you
Yeah,
definitely get that
spoiler
feeling.
alert.
But
Yeah.
I have to say I was in a way lucky that um a lot of that feeling was being covered by the songs.
Of
So
course, yeah.
um so I, especially in episode 7 when there's a lot of that going on.
Yeah,
So it was more for me to kind of get closer to what they were up to in
yeah,
terms of sound.
yeah,
But, I didn't want to get too, what's the word? Like involved in the sense of like, they were really carrying that message because they wrote all these original songs
that's
for
it. That's
Pedro
where,
Tercero that I
yeah,
was just like, let me just kind of be there to support you because let's not
yeah,
compete here, right? Because I'll
yeah,
just be with the emotion. But that was definitely something that as we got closer to that part of the story, I became more aware of like, let's because I feel like the first maybe 3 or 4 episodes, the score is, we lean very heavily on the score, and by episodes 5, 6, 7, and 8, we start getting more to this original songs, and
yeah,
they're amazing.
yeah.
So it was a lot of like, let's just take a step back for a second, just like
Yeah,
let them, they're the ones.
yeah.
So
Because there was
yeah,
a revolution in new songwriting, and
yeah,
the genre is literally called new song.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
exactly, yeah.
so
And
yeah,
you reminded me. Sorry, it's just maybe it's very random, but the not to spoil the show, but at the end, we end the very end of the show, we end with a very famous Chilean song.
uh-huh.
So, which I had to hand, the score had to hand off to this
Right.
song by Inti Limani. So I was like, I remember just being like, how can I hand off, like, how can I not be so far away from them, but like also not be far away from the score and kind of like try to find that middle ground and then hand off in a perfect way to this. It was like,
Yeah.
it was slightly stressful, and then towards the end I had to like also, because the song naturally faded out, so we had to find a way to end, it's the end of the show,
Yeah.
so they were asking me to like, help out with that, and I was just like, oh my god, this is like such a Chilean like staple that I'm like, I'm very scared to like, get near, because we want to be very respectful of
Yeah.
not kind of like do anything. So um, anyway, that just popped in my head. It
Oh, that's
reminded me of
interesting.
that.
So
It just
you had
reminded me of
to,
that.
right, you had to
Yeah,
like wrestle with the songwriting for the show
yeah,
too, which is
yeah,
which is really interesting, not you don't always have to do that as a composer. You can kind of tune out. I guess like, or it makes me think of, what happened with Stranger Things where the songs had to actually
yeah,
get incorporated with score as well. And
yeah, yeah.
it's such a
There was a lot of that. There was definitely a lot of that. But
yeah.
for me, that's also kind of fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm thinking
I don't
that
know.
too.
It's a nice little thing to like added spice to be like on top of hitting every emotion.
Yeah.
You gotta lead into this amazing song. Good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's always fun. That's always really fun.
Well, it's just everything becomes a tapestry,
Yeah,
that
exactly. Yeah.
connects. Wow. Well, I'm curious for you, in the process of writing a story that is so known
Mhm.
and part of South American, history as well. Um, did you have to kind of create a plan in advance of how you would tackle these arcs that were going to happen?
Yeah, there was a lot of meetings with Amazon showrunners where we discussed the music, what the music should do, how we should approach the passage of time, how the score should evolve, what the score should be doing. One of the things that we all instantly agreed on was let's have a main theme
Yeah.
that's just carries the whole show basically. And so I think I spent the most time just trying to find that melody and trying to figure out how to do it in a way that we can remember it and it's easy to whistle. That I was
Yeah.
going for all that and trying to keep it very kind of South American folky, but also film scorey in a way,
Yeah.
how you construct it. So that was and we had to establish it early on the show. And one of the things I remember telling them is like, we got to repeat it as much as we can.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gotta feel it, like this is our theme, and
Was
so
there
that
an
was
instrument like connected to the theme too, or was it, was
it
it
was
a theme?
usually guitar, just
Yeah.
because we had this kind of like main idea that Clara del Valle would be a guitar,
Yeah.
and kind of her line would be that in general. Of course, it's always difficult to, you always plan out what you're gonna do, but as you work on the show, you suddenly realize like, sometimes like, the guitar is not carrying it up. We need more. We need the
Yeah.
string. So that kind of plan is always changing, and I think that's also important as a composer to be ready to like, even you have a solid plan, be like, all right, we'll just break the rules for this one cue in order
Yeah.
to carry the
Yeah.
emotion.
Sometimes the
But
rule breaking kind of can add a different dynamic of
exactly.
emotion too. Yeah.
Yeah, and we played a lot with that. The showrunners Fran Fer and Andres Wood, who's also part of the showrunning team. We talk about this a lot, especially when we did episode 1. We were like, let's find what's our world. What world are we creating? What are the rules, and when can we break these rules? What can we do to It was a very collaborative process. It was really really nice. But going back to the theme, so we had this main theme, and then that main theme kind of evolved during the whole show in terms of harmonies, thematic development. Also, the orchestration changed a lot. We kept it very folky at the beginning, and then when we got it more into the 70s and in later episodes, it starts getting more distorted and greedy. So try to like make it evolve that way. We also had another like small theme for Trueba, which stands out from Rosa del Valle, who's Trueba's madly in love with her, and so we had that kind of smaller theme that kept coming back and working around our main theme here and there. So it was yeah. So that was kind of our two main themes, and then while working on the show, we this third kind of melody idea, if you will, evolved from in episode 2. There's a moment where they talk about the I'm blanking on the name because I'm thinking in Spanish. Las sufragistas, the female vote from back in the like 1910, 1920s.
Okay.
They were pushing in Chile the
Right, like
women's vote.
the suffragette.
Suffragette, thank you.
Yeah.
I could think it in Spanish. I couldn't say it in English. So that theme, I was working on that cue specifically, and I was like, I wonder if there's anything like, if there's a melody or a piece of music ever written for these movements from back in the day. I couldn't find anything in Chile specifically, but I did find something in England. Like 1910, Ethel Smith wrote kind of this hymn for the movement, and I was like, oh, it would be kind of cool to kind of do a nod in the music. What's like that version, but in South America.
Right.
That was basically what I thought, and that's how, and also like, how can we incorporate our theme somehow in the middle of it? So that kind of gave us a third theme, which was like the political, and we hear it first with them, but then politics keeps coming back throughout the entire show, to the point where we have a coup and dictatorship. So that same theme kind of becomes suddenly way more heavy and distorted and weird.
Right.
So, but that's a theme that we kind of like discovered,
That's
while
so
working on the show.
cool. I mean,
Yeah.
there's something, as a, I guess, as a woman who's a composer, that I love about that, which is just, sometimes the history of women composers gets just totally buried. It's not that there
Yeah.
wasn't any, there were a lot, but they're just like never, shined on enough. And so it's beautiful to give that like a second life
Yeah.
and
It
to give
was
it
it was a lot of fun doing the research and trying to find like,
right.
what was
That's so
going on because you never like it's not something known to the popular,
yeah,
but then the moment you start digging, you start realizing there's this, the movement wasn't just, pushing for women's vote. There's all this other stuff happening. There's music being written, painting. There's a lot of things going
so
on, and
cool.
that's always, I think, as a composer, especially when dealing with this subject, it's always nice to like see where you're standing, see where like what
Yeah,
happened before. Let's, and try to give a little nod, a little like thank you here. This is
yeah,
my way of thanking you for what you did.
yeah. I mean, I think when you work on, when you're working on something that is this important in the context of history,
Mhm.
um, I mean, and this is important in the context of history, but also like literature and, the magical realism, that Isabel Allende's works, rooted in as well, and as a bigger picture whole, and then so you've got art, you've got, the movement of new folk music, um, you've got history. This is a big piece of work. You become part of the tapestry by retelling that. Um, and this music that you're doing now becomes part of history too, because, that's the importance of this work, and and retelling these stories is essential,
Yeah.
um, for humanity, and art and history and all of these different aspects.
I mean, it's crazy you put it that way, and suddenly I feel like, oh my God, that's such a big responsibility. You don't, but it is true. It is true, and
It's
especially for a
true.
novel like this, it's so well known, and and even Isabel Allende was when the novel came out. She was, they gave her some.
She was
She
in
didn't have a great
hiding,
time. Yeah.
right? She was in
But
hiding.
also, like, they criticize her writing. They're like, "Oh, you're just copying the," and it's like, hold on, but she became one of the best-selling authors. So what are we
Yeah,
talking about?
yeah.
Like, she's amazing.
She's so
So
amazing and she's still active, and
exactly,
I
yeah,
follow her, I follow her, like she's still so profound to hear her speak on anything pretty much. To hear her speak about writing or aging or love or whatever it is, to
yeah.
this day she's such a poet and such a
And she
yeah.
was also for the novel for the adaptation. I was chatting with Fran and Fer, who did the adapted the novel, and I was like, did she give you like how do you deal with adapting this novel and like making sure she's happy? Like you don't only have to make
Oh
sure that everyone else is happy, but like making sure the person who wrote it is happy.
Yeah.
And they told me that she was really nice from the get-go. She was like, do whatever you need to do in order to adapt the novel. Don't feel bad. So that was, I think, already a great start point
yeah,
Yeah.
because she was like, I'm giving you, like do what you have to do in
yeah,
order to make this adaptation. And I mean, they did great.
yeah.
Honestly, they did really, really, really good.
And they did it, and they did great, and did it with her blessing. That's really
Exactly.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she was, they were showing her episodes, so she was, she was around and paying attention. It wasn't just like, okay, here you go, bye. She actually, was part of the process. So that was really nice of her too.
It's so emotional to me to think about all of those pieces coming
It
together
is
like
crazy when I came on the project and I met everyone. I was I was joking with them and telling them like us composers were always kind of showing up at the end
Yeah.
of a process, and we're not aware of like how long they've been doing, and they've
Yeah.
been working on this for so long because they had to adapt all the episodes and
Yeah.
shooting, and the
Yeah.
production was huge. So it's a little like a kind of a wake up call. It's like, dude, you're part of something big. It's like,
Yeah.
wake up,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah.
Like, this is not some other like random project. Like, this is part of a big thing. So,
Yeah. And kind
and
of sacred, to people.
exactly, yeah,
It's
that was
sacred.
and it really is because there's so many people who love the novel. So they're like, what are you gonna do with it?
Yeah, yeah.
So it is, but I love hearing all those stories. When I got on the project, I was always trying to be like, tell me more. Like, I just wanted to talk about it with everyone, being like, how did it happen? Like, I want to know everything about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, it really is I mean, it's a privilege to be able to kind of like, this is my little, you know, in Spanish we say granito de arena, like, or I don't know what
Like grain of rice or grain of
kind of, yeah, like my little contribution,
Yeah.
to this amazing big work. And
Yeah.
it's like I'm really, really happy and honored to be part of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really cool. Yeah.
It's so cool. And I'm very grateful that, we're able to talk with you about it and just have this space here to just honor South American music as well, and the culture that produced so many incredible instruments that the rest of the world may not know about, like the sound of the quena. When I was listening to the score and hearing that, I mean, especially my brother plays it, and I realized it's like a pentatonic scale, right, with the quena. So you're
I mean, yeah, you have very
very
all sorts
limited.
of
Yeah, like
but you have all
5
sorts of
notes, I
different
think,
yeah.
inside it. So everything has to fit into that note
Also, it
structure.
has a weird embouchure. It's very difficult to try to make a sound.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's a
yeah,
tricky instrument. Yeah.
yeah,
For the players, the indigenous instruments, did you record those in LA? Were they LA
yeah, true.
musicians, or do
For
you?
those I did record Adam Dibb for those specific. He has a giant collection of flutes. So literally the first session that we did, he came over to the studio and I told him like, bring everything if you can. Just
Yeah,
bring everything. Let's try. And he has all this. He even has pinquillos and like all these flutes that I giant ones. Like he brought like this giant flute that it almost looked like a didgeridoo, and I was like, "What the hell is this?" It was awesome. So we did a lot of experimentation and
yeah,
and not only trying to play the melodies, but also like what interesting sounds can we get out of
yeah,
these instruments. Also, Carlos Herrera, who plays flutes, he played he would sometimes grab a normal like concert flute but change the head joint, and has all these weird head joints, and they suddenly sound like a like a different flute. It was amazing. So we played a lot with that, especially when we had to do like more complicated melodies.
yeah,
We would use a flute with a different head joint and play a lot with that too. So
And the
that was
charango is
yeah.
like 10 strings, right?
What, sorry?
The charango is 10 strings
The
or
charango is 10 strings.
yeah. I mean, that's a complicated little instrument
That's
to play.
another whole, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You also
Between
have
that, the
to
guitar, yeah, we had different
for that.
guitars. We actually, one of the guitar players, Nacho Gonzalez, he brought in a guitar that was like tuned differently, tuned like all down, but it sounded amazing. I was like, where have I been my entire life? What the
Yeah.
hell is this? So we had a lot of fun of just exploring different, really
Yeah.
trying to go out there and explore different instruments and sounds. Same with the percussion with the jawbone. And
Yeah.
that was a lot of fun. And then also making the string players play some crazy sounds with chicharras. Chicharras, it's a tango technique where you're bowing behind the bridge on the
Ah.
string, but the part that's like, that has like the, what is it? What's the word? Jesus, I'm blanking.
Like
It's like right next to the tailpiece. It's
you're a cellist, which
the
piece?
one, the string that it has like, it's like, it could be like green or blue or
Like
that part.
I mean, just
what is the name of that?
well, it's just behind the bridge. What's
Kind of behind, but it's not right behind the bridge. It's like even more behind the bridge.
Yeah.
And if you bowl with with a little bit more pressure, you get like a it sounds like a cricket. And
Wow.
so it was fun we recorded the orchestra with Budapest. It was fun trying to like tell them from Zoom
Yeah.
how to achieve that. I was like, I'm not a string player, but I know how to do it because I've done it in a
Yeah.
violin before.
Yeah.
But here I am explaining to these people who've been playing these instruments for all their lives, being like, it's actually like you have to do it here. But they got it. They got it. Same with strapatas. They got it. Strapatas is like another percussion technique where you're hitting the cellos and the contrabasses are hitting the strings and then kind of muting. So you hit like.
Ah, right.
It's a very
That's similar
interesting.
guitar does that.
Kind of, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, I've heard contrabasses and cellos do it as a solo player, but I never heard of 8 cellos or 6 cellos and 4 basses doing it. So I
Yeah.
was like, let's do it. Let's see what happens. So
That's cool.
it was, we also allotted some time to like let them figure it out. So we
Yeah.
knew that that was going to take some time
start
also,
that
but
Yeah.
Yeah.
but they really did amazing. And also the other thing that we realized when we started orchestrating, which my friend Arturo Rodriguez did all the orchestrations. He's also a conductor and he loves Alberto Ginastera. So who's an Argentinian composer, and so that was great because the moment he started getting all my MIDI, he was like, we're gonna need to rewrite some stuff.
Yeah.
Because if we were putting this in front of an orchestra in South America, they'll get it instantly.
Yeah,
But like,
yeah.
we're going to Eastern Europe, like they're probably not. God knows if they ever played Ginastera. Like we don't know. So
Yeah.
he really got into the weeds of like rewriting stuff in a way that would make sense for them. Especially, we have a lot of 3 against 2.
Yeah.
So,
Mm.
so he,
3 against 2.
like
Is that like yeah, yeah. I'm just curious, is that a specifically South American thing?
I've heard it. I'm from Argentina. I heard it. That's where I
Yeah.
heard it the first time.
Well,
So
it's a somewhat selfish question because I wrote I wrote a song that's 3 against 2, and I've been having such trouble getting the translation of that. And it's literally a song. It's not a composition, but even just getting it with my band,
yeah,
it's
it
been
is.
like very tricky. And I
It
didn't,
is tricky. Yeah.
yeah. But when you said 3 against 2, I'm like, oh my gosh, maybe that's something that I just heard my whole life and didn't think about.
For
And
me, it's so natural.
yeah, because it feels natural to me, and I can't
Yeah.
understand why they can't get it,
Yeah.
So,
It's yeah.
yeah,
For me, it feels natural. So when I'm writing, I'm just like, oh yeah, I know how to do this. But
yeah,
then you have to suddenly think like, oh, these people don't
think that
they,
way.
they don't have that same background. They don't think that way. So how
Yeah,
can we write it in a way that we can get it on take 1 or close enough. So there
yeah,
was a lot of rewriting going on,
yeah,
turning like 4/4 into 12/8 or like a fast 3/4 into a 12/8, trying to figure out what's the best way. But they got it. They
yeah,
really they figure it out.
yeah. And
But
you're
it
a
was,
great orchestrator too, so
thank you.
we've had one of your beautiful orchestrations at
Oh
on
yeah,
night once. Yeah, it was fantastic.
with Scott. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it was beautiful.
Thank
Yeah,
you
so I mean, you must have some empathy for your for your
for the players.
players. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually on that, one of the things I was like set on is like, let's not try not to stripe, because a lot of these rhythms and stuff, they work well when you're playing all together. If you
Yeah.
isolate them, suddenly it's like it could sound kind of weird. So I was like, I really wanted them to understand how they were all working together in the texture.
Yeah.
Uh, so there was a lot of like, even if it takes us 7 takes, like
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
do 7 takes of everyone playing, unless
Yeah.
we really have to for purposes of mixing or or music editing. But so I really kind of push, and Arturo is also great on that because he was on board with me on this. We were on the same page.
Yeah.
So and I think
That's awesome.
you get you get a better result, I think, musically
Yeah.
when you
Well, I
have
mean,
everyone.
I feel like the magic of playing it gets captured somehow. The frequency is captured. Like,
It's not the same if you start isolating stuff. It's
yeah.
never the same. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a different art form.
It's a
Hmm.
yeah. It's a, yeah,
Exactly.
that's right. It's sort of it becomes its own different kind of art form.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Well, I mean, it's really exciting to talk to you about this and to talk to you about the project and um for people in the US, watching this, just understanding the relevance of the cultural history. I have one more question myself that I'm curious about.
Yeah.
Did you, when you studied this work, did you study in Argentina or did you learn to orchestrate somewhere else? Um, I'm
I,
curious I'm just wondering, like, I like thinking about the DNA that you just take into things with you. If it's, yeah,
well, the very first music I have ever listened to and kind of became fan was folk music because my dad listens to a lot of folk music from Argentina. He listens to chalchaleros and Mercedes Sosa. So
yeah,
I grew up listening to that.
yeah.
And then,
Very emotional music.
it is, but the
It's
funniest thing is
beautiful.
the moment when you're a kid, you don't realize it.
Right.
And then suddenly you revisit all this stuff when you're older
Yeah.
and you're like, "Oh my God, there's so much going on that I didn't even understood." Like I was like, "What the hell?" Like all,
Yeah.
harmonies and rhythms and lyrics, and I was like, "Oh wow, this is amazing." So a lot of working on the show was a kind of tapping back into that Tomas from when I was 5 years old, seven
Yeah.
years old, listening to all that music and kind of remember going down a lot of like I was like, oh, I remember this one song from Mercedes Sosa. I remember this one song from Facundo Sarabia, and like going back and listening and just rediscovering like, oh wow, this is amazing. And then now you have more musical knowledge, so you're like, how can we take this into the orchestra? How can we take this into the show? How can we do this and that?
Yeah.
So that's where it
So
kind of
that's where
all
that
started.
meeting happened. It happened
Yeah,
literally between your childhood and then
yeah.
traditional
And the
training.
funniest thing is, when then I became a huge Beatles fan, and my entire life kind of was like, folk music. It
Yeah.
was, kind of rebelling against it, and we just
I
go
think the
down.
Beatles is very close to folk music though.
Yeah.
Like it's really different. Like you can say, oh, Bob Dylan is closer to folk music, but I do feel like, you know, um, the beautiful like simplicity of the melodies that are so also very complex in the Beatles.
Yeah.
I can actually hear, don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
The through line, there's
to
two
me the
different
funniest
sides of
thing
the
is
same coin.
to me the funniest thing is that how I like for years rebelled against folk music, and then suddenly here I am doing this show, where we have to really tap into. But I think that also happens, now getting kind of away from music, but um, when when you have to leave your country and for whatever reason,
Yeah.
and you're in a different country, you suddenly it's amazing how you tap into that.
Yeah.
Like it happens to everyone. I've never met anyone that hasn't had that experience. And I was living in Chicago back then, and you know, before moving to Chicago to study film music, I was, all I would listen to was film music. That's
Yeah.
all I could hear, listen. It was amazing. And then you start working on it, and you're like, oh my God, I can't listen to film music anymore. Get this out of me. And then you start literally your brain kind of starts looking for like, what's a music that I can listen to where I'm not gonna get, tired of right now because
Yeah.
that's all I'm doing, film music. So, and it's funny how your brain instantly goes back then. So like I was suddenly, revisiting all this music back in Chicago. This was like 2017, and I revisited now again also. But it is very interesting how it kind of like never left. It
Yeah.
was always there, kind of waiting for you,
Yeah.
for you to come back, and you always go back because it's so
Yeah.
beautiful. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so that was super interesting. And then, of course, when I studied music in Argentina. I started music composition, and I happened to study in the university that Alberto Ginastera, who's this kind of like staple classical Argentinian composer, he founded. So,
Oh, wow.
um, there was a lot of his work, and when I kind of discovered him, I was like, wow, he was basically taking folk music into orchestra and expanding it. And
Yeah. Yeah.
so I started, really getting into his work too, which was super helpful for the show
Yeah.
also.
Yeah.
So it was definitely a lot of kind of like going back to all those moments and being like, all right,
Reckon
the
so.
time has come
Yeah.
to like
The time is-
grab everything, bring it here, and like let's see if we learned anything.
Yeah. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Mm. Well, thank you so much for
Thanks.
sharing all
Yeah,
of
of
this
course.
with us and being part of the conference as well, to be memorialized in this more
Thank you.
in-depth way. Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
nice. And
Thank you so much for having me.
you have to come and do a piece at the string night sometime.
Yeah, I would love to. I would
Yeah,
love
I
to.
want to
That'd be
experience
amazing.
this. Maybe get accompanied by an indigenous instrument of some sort
That would be
too.
amazing.
Right?
That would be amazing. That would be amazing.
It'll be
I would
so
love it.
cool. Yeah.
Cool.
I'd be excited to see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Tomas. It's just been such a pleasure.
Yeah, it's been really great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
And thanks for doing this incredible work. I'm obsessed with this music. It's so beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, everyone should watch the show, The House of the Spirits. How do
House
you
of the
say it in
Spirits.
Spanish?
It's La Casa de los Espíritus.
Oh, yeah.
It's out on Prime Video. All episodes are out, so
So watch
yeah,
it,
you can
everyone.
just binge it in one day.
Yeah, binge.
Yeah.
And listen to the music too. It's out
Yeah,
everywhere.
it's out on all streaming platforms too.
Yeah, and it's really just stunning and well worth listening
Thank
to.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you
Alright,
so much.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.